tuning into Nightline with me, Nurin Razmyn. The top stories. 5 UPNM cadet officers expelled and ordered to pay compensation. And Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire takes effect, halting deadly war in Lebanon. Good morning. The Malaysian Armed Forces Council has agreed to dismiss 5 cadet officers from University Pertanahan Nasional Malaysia (UPNM) for their alleged involvement in 3 bullying cases at the university. Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin said they are also required to pay compensation to the government based on the total expenses incurred during their period of study. In a statement on Wednesday, Muhammad Khalid said the decision was made during a Malaysian Armed Forces Council meeting on Tuesday, following a review of the recommendations put forth by the Training Academy. He emphasized that the actions are independent of any that may be taken by the university or the Attorney General's chambers. In the first case, Amrul Iskandar Ahmad Nur Hanizan, who was accused of pressing a hot iron to another student's chest, had his cadet officer appointment revoked, his service in the army terminated, and was ordered to pay 44,600 ringgit in compensation. The second case involved Izzat Izzuddin Muhammad Arif, Muhammad Hidayat Hakimi Muhammad Yuslan, and Ku Muhammad Irfan Ku Zaimi, who were found to have committed various forms of misconduct, including corrective punishment and physical abuse, among others. They had their appointments as cadet officers revoked and their services in the armed forces terminated. Each of them has also been ordered to pay compensation to the government. The third case involved Amar Hafi Muhammad Habib, who physically assaulted a cadet officer, which resulted in the victim sustaining a soft tissue injury over the lower back due to trauma. The perpetrator also had his appointment revoked, service in the army terminated, and ordered to pay compensation. Now, the armed forces have confirmed that it is investigating allegations by a father regarding the death of his son during a military training session at a university recently. The incident is being investigated by the Provost Martial Branch of the Royal Malaysian Air Force. The armed forces stress that investigations will be conducted thoroughly and without protecting or compromising with any party involved in the case. Earlier, the media reported that a reserve officer training unit or Palapes trainee at a local university died on November 13th after allegedly undergoing a strenuous and unscheduled training session. In the meantime, the Higher Education Ministry is awaiting the full report from the university before taking the next course of action.
Ini baru lapor pasal ada student meninggal dunia masa menjalani Palapes.
Kita akan tunggu laporan daripada pihak ni dulu.
Meanwhile, University Technology Mara (UITM) in a statement on Wednesday said it will review and strengthen procedures related to uniform team training following the death of one of its students on November 13th, allegedly due to abuse. UITM emphasized that it takes the incident seriously and has left it to the police and the armed forces to conduct investigations. A ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah came into effect on Wednesday after both sides accepted an agreement brokered by the US and France in a rare victory for diplomacy in a region wrecked by 2 wars over a year. Lebanon's army, tasked with helping to ensure the ceasefire holds, said it was preparing to deploy an expected 5,000 troops to the south of the country. Gunshots were heard across the capital city of Beirut after the ceasefire officially took effect at 2 a.m. local time. It has not been confirmed whether the gunfire was a sign of celebration, since the sound of gunfire had also served as a warning for Lebanese residents to evacuate, as requested by the Zionist military. The military also asked that residents of border villages delay returning home until the Zionist army, which has waged war against Hezbollah on several occasions and pushed around 6 kilometers into Lebanon, withdraws. However, thousands of Lebanese civilians have started returning to their homes in the south. But many of the villages the people were likely returning to have been destroyed. However, as a ceasefire deal is reached in Lebanon, the Zionist military continues to scale up attacks across Gaza on Wednesday. More than a dozen people have lost their lives when Zionist warplanes carried out strikes against a school, which served as a shelter for displaced people, and a residential building in the northern sector of the Gaza Strip. Local medical sources said 10 Palestinians, including 3 children, were killed in a Zionist aerial assault on the Al-Tabi'in school. Eyewitnesses said Zionist warplanes struck the school turned shelter at dawn, leaving fatalities among the displaced. Search operations are underway for people under the rubble. Moreover, 4 Palestinians were killed and several others injured in an airstrike on a home in a neighborhood in the eastern Gaza City. 3 more people were killed when a Zionist airstrike hit a group of people near the Kamal Adwan Hospital in Beit Lahia in the northern Gaza Strip. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has freed Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak and Tan Sri Muhammad Irwan Serigar Abdullah of 6 charges of criminal breach of trust involving government assets worth 6.6 billion ringgit. The discharge, not amounting to acquittal (DNAA), was granted on Wednesday after the prosecution failed to hand over documents related to the trial to the defense team. Judge Datuk Muhammad Jamil made the ruling as the prosecution did not adhere to the Criminal Procedure Code (CPC). He added that the case was registered in 2018, but the trial was delayed due to the necessary documents not made available for the defense. The CPC stipulates that the prosecution must provide certain documents to the defense before the trial begins. The court also ordered the 1 million ringgit bail to be returned to both the former Prime Minister and the former Treasury Secretary General. On October 24, 2018, Najib and Muhammad Irwan pleaded not guilty to the 6 charges of criminal breach of trust in connection with payments to the International Petroleum Investment Company (IPIC). They allegedly committed the offences at the Finance Ministry complex in Putrajaya between December 21, 2016 and December 18, 2017. The charges, framed under the Penal Code, carries a maximum of 20 years imprisonment, caning and a fine upon conviction. Now, the Health Ministry will hold a meeting with nurse unions on Thursday to gather input and address concerns regarding the increase in working hours for the profession from 42 to 45 hours per week effective December 1st. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the meeting would involve 5 nurses unions that have expressed readiness to discuss and share their views on implementing the new directive under the Public Service Remuneration System (SSPA).
Kami mau pastikan yang apapun dari sudut arahan dan sebagainya ini akan kita lakukan setelah kita benar-benar dapat memastikan kepentingan, kebajikan, kemaslahatan workforce ataupun khasnya jururawat kami itu dapat kita bela dan kita jamin.
The unions involved are the Malayan Nurses Union, the Union of Midwives and Community Nurses of Government Services of Peninsular Malaysia, the Sabah Health Services Union, the Sarawak Health Services Union, and the Health Ministry Workers Union. He added that further discussions with other stakeholders would follow after Thursday's meeting. Zulkifli said the feedback gathered from nurses directly affected by the change would be considered by the ministry in its decision-making. The flood situation in Kelantan and Terengganu continued to worsen on Wednesday evening, with a sharp increase in the number of evacuees. The disaster has also claimed 2 lives in 2 states. In Kelantan, the number of flood victims increased to 21,568 compared to 12,526 who took shelter in 127 relief centers (PPS) earlier in the evening. It involved 9 districts, namely Pasir Mas, Pasir Puteh, Kuala Krai, Kota Baru, Tanah Merah, Machang, Tumpat, Bacho and Jeli. Meanwhile, 6 major rivers in Kelantan have crossed the danger level with an upward trend. In Terengganu, the number of flood victims also increased sharply to 3,768 people compared to 1,851 people in the afternoon. A total of 69 PPS were opened involving the Besut Setiu, Dungun, Hulu Terengganu, Marang and Kemaman districts. River water levels at 11 stations in the state also recorded readings above the danger level. Meanwhile, in the Dewan Kedah Kota R in Sik Kedah was the latest PPS to open late on Wednesday afternoon, making a total of 2 relief centers open in the rice-growing state. The latest number of victims was 52 people, including a baby girl, who was transferred to the Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Changlun PPS in Kubang Pasu. In Perlis, a total of 149 victims were evacuated to 2 relief centers, respectively at Sekolah Kebangsaan SK Gua Nangka in Arau and SK Titi Tinggi in Padang Besar. Meanwhile, in Perak, the number of flood victims remains at 20, currently sheltered at SK Haji Parit Aman in Kerian. Similarly, in Johor, the situation remains unchanged, with 28 evacuees still at Balai Raya Batu Badak in Segamat. In Kelantan, a man died after being electrocuted when his home in Kampung Baner Belikong, Pasir Puteh was flooded early on Wednesday morning. The incident occurred at 4:30 a.m. when 33-year-old Tuan Muhammad Zakaria Tuan Ismail was believed to have been attempting to unplug a washing machine located behind his house after flood waters rose to about 1 meter. The victim was electrocuted before falling and being swept away by the flood waters into the river behind his house. Tuan Muhammad Zakaria's body was found entangled in a tree by the river bank near his home at 5:30 a.m. and was later brought to Hospital Tengku Anis Hospital for post-mortem. In Kapit, Sarawak, a retired pastor was found drowned after the car he was driving became trapped and was swept away by strong flood waters into a river at Kilometer 4 Jalan Seliri early on Wednesday morning. The incident occurred around 6 a.m. when the victim, 75-year-old Bangau Amping, was on his way home after dropping off his wife, who sells goods in front of SK Methodist. At the time of the incident, the water had overflowed onto the road due to heavy rain since the previous night, and the strong current caused the victim's car to be swept into the nearby Sungai Selepong. The victim was successfully retrieved around 7:40 a.m. but was pronounced dead by medical personnel. Business confidence for the fourth quarter of 2024 remains positive, with the Business Confidence Index, BCI, reaching nearly 105 points in the third quarter. The Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, MIER, said the key drivers for the outlook include stable production and sales, improved employment levels, increased wage costs, rising investment, and enhanced efficiency in capacity utilization. In a survey report, it said business outlook for the next 3 months remains positive, with most firms optimistic due to Malaysia's favorable image. The index highlights positive trends in employment and sales, signaling resilient and strong recovery potential. The report also noted that overall sales performance in the third quarter of 2024 was positive, with the index rising by 8.9 points to 52.8 compared to the same period in 2023. The survey also found that 53% of firms with a mixed composition of domestic and export markets enjoyed healthy sales. Media Prima Berhad has recorded a revenue of 194.9 million ringgit in the first quarter of financial year 2025, demonstrating resilience in a challenging market environment. The group achieved a net profit of 1.4 million ringgit with profitability across most business segments. The group continues to lead the Malaysian media landscape with Media Prima television networks capturing a dominant 55.9% of the audience share. TV3 remains the nation's top broadcaster, commanding 46.3% of the audience. The success was highlighted by the strong viewership of the TikTok Awards in August 2024, which attracted 4.3 million viewers and 2.1 million views on TikTok Live. Media Prima Audio started the first quarter of FY25 with higher advertising revenue against the comparative quarter last financial year, solidifying its position as Malaysia's top radio network. Additionally, Rev Media Group posted a slight revenue increase compared to the last financial year, driven by higher advertising revenue. Media Prima Group Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Junid said the results reflects the ongoing challenges in the media industry. However, he expressed confidence in the strategy to adapt and innovate as its businesses and brands continue to maintain their dominant positions among audiences and advertisers in Malaysia. Meanwhile, Media Prima Group Managing Director Rafiq Razali said the company is encouraged by the better performance in key areas for this quarter, such as Rev Media Group and Wow Shop, which validates strategy to diversify revenue streams and adapt to evolving consumer preferences. Oil prices increased on Wednesday with a demand surge in the world's biggest crude consumer, the US, and weakened US dollar index, while a ceasefire deal in the Middle East dampened supply woes among market players. The international oil benchmark of Brent crude rose 0.43% to $72.49 per barrel at 9:58 a.m. local time, up from the previous session's close of $72.18. The U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate also increased by 0.43% to $68.83 per barrel compared to $68.53 at the prior session's close. Data from the American Petroleum Institute showed a larger than expected drop in U.S. crude oil stocks, which supported the upward movement in prices. It also reported a decrease of 5.93 million barrels in U.S. commercial crude inventories last week, contrary to market expectations of 250,000 barrel increase, fostering optimism regarding rising demand in the U.S. Justin smashes into the second round. Action from the side Modi India International after this breather.
Tiga suspek ini adalah ahli dalam satu kumpulan haram yang bergiat aktif di KL dan juga Selangor.
Tapi tuan-tuan, siapa kumpulan haram ni sebenarnya?
Polis, serang! Saya telefon awak tak jawab. Saya nak cakap pasal kita.
Polis Peronda setiap Jumaat 10 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Thursday.
Ada fatah untuk dihalalkan. Silap-silap. Ada cerai kepilihan yang perlu disaksikan. Karisan Jana,
Apa ni?
Cinta grade A.
Maksud doktor?
Embun di hati.
Aku dah muak lah makan benda macam ni.
Telapak waktu.
Antara kita ni cuma kawan rapat je.
Validasi. Tunggu apa lagi? Saksikan cerita pilihan TV3 sebelum jadi pilihan orang lain dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Biar tak handsome janji.
Banyak undi.
Untuk korang dekat luar sana jangan lupa untuk langgan Tonton Up dan boleh undi ketorang sebanyak 100 kali.
Betul. Kalau dekat tonton biasa boleh undi 50 kali je.
RM20 untuk 3 bulan. Memang berbaloi.
Kalau anda yang bertuah tu boleh menang Smart TV setiap minggu juga.
Setiap
minggu bang.
Jadi
jangan lupa undi kami dan jadikan kami lelaki terhangat di Family Duo. #berduo lebih baik.
Sports now, badminton. The 2024 Syed Modi India International singles shuttler Justin Ho scrapped through the first round after defeating India's Mithun Manjunath on Wednesday. The unseeded Justin, however, had to dig deep into reserve to beat the homester 21-18, 17-21, 21-17 after more than an hour on court. The 20-year-old Malaysian will take on 8th seed Ayush Shetty of India in the second round next. Also through to the next round were men's doubles pair Brian Jeremy Gunting, Muhammad Fazrid Razif, who overcame home pair Vishnu Sri Kumar, Asit Surya in the first round. The duo faced little trouble as they needed only 30 minutes to claim a dominant 21-15, 21-14 victory over the Indian pair. Awaiting them in the second round are Chinese pair Huang Di, Liu Yang. Meanwhile, it was the end of the road for national shuttler Kailat Shana as she was unfortunate to be drawn against China's Dai Wang in the first round. In the women's singles event, the 21-year-old went down 16-21, 19-21 after battling for 47 minutes on court. On to hockey, the 2024 Men's Junior Asia Cup. The Young Tigers began their campaign in style by defeating China 5-2 in their Group B match at the Hockey Oman Stadium in Muscat on Friday. World number 48 China, who last featured in the 2015 Kuantan edition, surprised world number 11 Malaysia by taking the lead off a penalty corner converted by Wang Yubo in the 5th minute. However, the early setback stung the Malaysians into action, with captain Che Nur Akilvula Che Khairulzi Anwar equalising in the 17th minute off a field goal. Ganesh Shanmugam's side kept up the pressure and scored again through Adi Jazmi Jamlus in the 34th minute, followed by goals from Khairul Norizam and Tina Vinash Paniker. China managed to pull one back in the 46th minute through Zhang Jialiang, but Danish Daniel Abdul Wahab responded with another goal for Malaysia, securing a commanding 5-2 victory. The Malaysians will next take on Oman in their second Pool B match. Still on football, the 2024 Asian Champions League Elite. Al Hilal's perfect start to the tournament came to an end on Tuesday as George Jesus' side were held to a 1-1 draw away by Qatar's Al Sadd. Ali Al-Bulaihi opened the scoring for Al Hilal in the 10th minute as he reacted quick enough to slot home Muhammad Kano's header. After the interval, the visitors, however, squandered their lead in the 71st minute when Brazilian Paulo Otavio finished off a brilliant attack by the home side. The draw leaves Al Hilal 2 points behind compatriots Al Ahly and leveled with cross-city rivals Al Nassr, with both clubs securing their places in the next round. Seoul records heaviest snow. The details when Nightline returns.
Topik menarik di MHI minggu ini
bertemakan kasih keluarga, jiwa madani. Jom raikan bulan keluarga kebangsaan.
Suka habiskan masa di dalam tandas? Awas, mungkin membawa kesan buruk kepada kesihatan.
Cuaca sekarang memang tak menentulah. Kena sentiasa cakna tentang amaran ribut kencang dan banjir.
Kahwin di usia yang muda? Sesuatu yang wajar atau sebaliknya?
Jaga-jaga dengan pinjaman tunai segera, anda mungkin terpedaya.
Jangan lupa MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Di TV3 juga stream ditonton.
別れよ納得いかないと自分だって同じ女の子振ってんじゃん
今 さくらくんの顔を見て話すのつらい。
Silent setiap Sabtu dan Ahad 7 malam di Yoshi TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Sekarang ni kita kejukan mamat ni cukup-cukup, kita hantar pergi balai, settle. Apa yang korang dua ni nak?
Boleh tak jawab?
Kat luar sana tu, ada orang jahat yang nak gunakan korang. Kalau korang tak nak ikut, dia bunuh.
Aku rasa kita tak boleh tunggu lama lagi. Kita kena bersatu. Sekarang ni apa yang penting, apa strategi kita nak halang sidak.
Squad X, Khamis hingga Sabtu 9 malam di Lestari TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Cepat! Gol! Lah, apa nangis? Bola je pun.
Sedih lah drama ni.
Wah, tengok bola tu drama.
Korang tahu tak ada banyak drama dengan filem Korea dekat Tonton? Korang boleh layan opak korang sampai pagi. Muat turun aplikasi Tonton sekarang. Semua favourite anda ada di sini.
Cakap dengan siapa?
On to the foreign front. Australia's lower house of parliament on Wednesday has voted overwhelmingly to pass a landmark bill banning the use of social media by children under 16. After passing with 103 votes in favour to 13 votes against, the bill will move to the Senate, where it is also expected to pass with the support of Australia's major parties. The bill targets social media platforms such as TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and X with fines of up to $32 million if they fail to comply with the ban. Meanwhile, an opposition lawmaker said the government has agreed to amendments made in the Senate that would bolster privacy protections for social media users, including a prohibition on platforms compelling users to submit government-issued identification. Should the ban become law, social media companies will have a year to work out how to comply with the order. South Korea's capital on Wednesday was blanketed by the heaviest snowfall in Seoul during November on record, with bad weather snarling traffic, knocking out power and grounding hundreds of flights as authorities brace for more snow in coming days. Cooler air moving in from the northwest turned rain into snow overnight, leaving 18 centimeters on the ground by 3 p.m. local time, marking the biggest fall since records started being kept in 1907. At least 2 people were reported killed in traffic accidents on highways east of the capital, while falling debris from buildings and construction sites due to strong winds injured some pedestrians in Seoul. The Interior Ministry has upgraded its disaster response, saying up to 5 centimeters an hour of snow was forecast through Thursday morning, warning the wet snow had a high concentration of moisture, adding to the risk of damage to facilities and property. Meanwhile, more than 200 flights were cancelled or delayed, and at least 70 ferries serving islands were suspended. Power was also cut for thousands of households in several areas of Seoul and the central region, as electricity lines were damaged by falling trees and snow-related causes. Thailand police are hunting for a 57-year-old man who shot 3 people to death in the Sri Buangwang district on Wednesday morning. According to officials, the shooting started at a house in Bang Tak Thiong village at 6 a.m. local time. There, a gunman shot a 54-year-old and his daughter. The father was killed instantly and the daughter succumbed to her injuries at a local hospital later. The gunman then rode his motorcycle to Ban Phai Hin village where he met the 3rd victim and shot him dead. The suspect has been identified as Samart, who police said was a scrap collector and reportedly had disputes with 2 of the victims. The Royal Thai Police Office has said police were trying to stop the deranged man and would like to receive clues about his whereabouts. Tech company Google said it was assisting Indian authorities into the deaths of 3 men who reportedly drove off an incomplete bridge while following a route on Google Maps. Indian local media on Tuesday said police questioned an unnamed official from the navigation app as well as others from the government public works department. Meanwhile, in a statement, a spokesperson from Google said they were working closely with the authorities and providing support to investigate the issue. The group was on their way to the wedding in the Uttar Pradesh state when their car plunged into the Ramgangar River from the unfinished bridge early Sunday. According to officials, the driver followed Google Maps into taking the route. Around. Before we leave, let's take a look at London's Tate Modern Art Gallery, which is set to open an exhibition exploring the intersection between art and technology between the 1950s and the early 1990s. With that, I'm Nurin Razmyn. Thank you for watching and stay safe.